Our first lesson in applied math is to go over what are integers. Now, integers are a type of number. Integers are whole numbers, and whole numbers start with 0 and increase 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So integers are whole numbers and their opposites. Okay, what does that mean? It means the negative numbers. So we're going to have starting with like -4, -3, -2, and so on. So I like to say that integers are positive and negative whole numbers. Now, that means some things are excluded, and the things that are excluded are fractions and decimals. So positive, negative, whole numbers, and I'm going to say here that there are no fractions and no decimals. So what does that look like on the number line? Let's label the number line. And the number line just shows us the order in which we arrange our integers. And most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this. 0 is our central point. Now, when we work to the right of 0, our numbers are increasing positively. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 as we move to the right. And everything as we work to the left of 0 is going to have a negative sign in front of it. But we increase those negative numbers in the same way as we count. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, and -8. Now the thing that we need to remember as we're using the number line, that the numbers on the right, okay, the further right we get, the larger the value. Okay, the further left we get, okay, the bigger the negative number, it actually is, the smaller the value is. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind as we're using this number system. In this next section, it says to write an integer for each situation. So they're giving us like a real life scenario, and we need to write an integer, meaning a positive or negative whole number that represents the description that we're given. So we need to show a positive or negative number for each of these situations. So a 3-yard gain. Now, if any word that means like increasing, gain means increasing, so that's going to be a positive number. So we're going to have a +3 for a 3-yard gain. And now any word that would mean getting smaller or decreasing, losing value, that would indicate that we need to use a negative sign. So for number 2, 8 degrees below normal, that word below, okay, that means under or losing value usually, so we're going to say this is -8 in value. A $75 deposit on number 3. When you deposit money into your bank account, your amount in your bank account goes up, it increases, so this 75 would be positive. Number 4, a 21-pound loss. Now, if you're trying to lose weight, yeah, that loss would be a good thing, but loss means to go down. So negative isn't bad in this situation, but it just means that our amount got smaller, so -21. 5 miles above sea level. Above is increasing, going up, so it's a +5. A $40 deduction. To deduce, to deduct, okay, that is losing value. That means to get smaller, so we're going to say -40 here. 2 strokes under par. Now, being under par, I believe, is a good thing in golf, but it does mean going down or losing, so we are going to say -2. And a $15 surcharge. A surcharge is like an extra charge on top of what you're already paying, so that would be a +15. In this next section, we are comparing our integers, and comparing, we are going to show which of these numbers between the two comparisons is larger. Now, if you're comparing two positives, that's pretty straightforward. We know that the bigger the number is the greater number. if you're comparing a positive integer and a negative integer, the positive will always be larger than the negative integer. But if you're comparing two negative integers, you have to remember that the larger the negative integer, the smaller it actually is. So let's go through this. Number 9, we have -12 and 5. Well, again, our larger number will be the positive because -12 and +5. So we make our inequality sign. Remember, it's probably been taught in younger grades. That's like an alligator mouth, and it eats the larger number. So that's why we're opening up to 5. It's the larger number. On number 10, we've got -7 and -23. Now you might think, well, 23 is larger than 7, but it's a -23. So -23 is a larger negative number, which means it's smaller. So we're going to open up and eat -7 because it's a larger number than -23. 11, we have 1 and -6. 1 is positive, so automatically it has to be a larger number than -6. And again, we could be looking at where they are placed on a number line if we're not sure, and we'll do more of that in class together. Number 12, we're comparing -18 and -15. So they're both negative. Who is the larger negative number? -18 is a larger negative number, which actually means it's smaller. So our larger number is -15. 13, we're comparing 20 and -25. Even though 25, it kind of looks bigger, remember, it has a negative sign, which means it's way further to the left. It's smaller on the number line. 20 is positive, so it automatically is larger. 14, we have -13 and 0. Okay, 0 is further right on the number line than -13. Right? Would you rather have $0 or owe somebody $13? That's being like negative. It's when I feel like you owe somebody money, and I'd rather have no money at all than be in debt to somebody. So 0 is larger than -13. On number 15, we have -36 and -40. Remember, who's smaller? -40 smaller because it's a bigger negative number than -36. So we eat the bigger number, eat -36. And number 16, we have -29 and -28. Who's larger? Well, because -29 is a bigger negative number, it's smaller than -28, so we're eating -28. Okay, this last section, ordering each set of integers from least to greatest. Okay, we would be picturing how they are arranged on the number line. Okay, we're going to work left to right as we would on a number line, and that means we're starting by looking for the biggest negative number and then working our way to the next biggest negative number and then to 0 and then increasing as we would normally count. So to put these in order, we have 4, 0, -9, 2, -5, -1, and 13. The smallest number is the largest negative number, which would be -9. So we're going to write that down first. And then I like to cross things off after I use them so that I don't try to use it again or know that I didn't miss anything. Okay, so now I'm looking for the next largest negative number in this set, which would be -5. It's the next smallest number. I'm going to cross it off. Okay, do I have any more negatives? Yes, I do. The next negative number, and the only one left, is -1. So that's the next biggest number. Okay, now we have 3 numbers left, 0, 4, and 13. From there, we're working with numbers we're probably more familiar with. Which one's the next smallest number here? Because we're going from least to greatest, would be 0. Okay, and between 4 and 13, 4 would go next, and then 13. So from least to greatest, we go -9, -5, -1, 0, 4, and 13. That's how the order we would find them in on a number line. Okay, our next set, we still are doing this from least to greatest. We're doing least to greatest for all of these. We have -27, 21, -24, 16, -11, -8. So again, the smallest number will be the largest negative number, which would be -27. Cross it off. The next largest or negative number will be the next smallest number, so we're going to have -24. Okay, we have two more negative numbers here, negative 11 and negative 8. Negative 11 is a larger negative number, so we're putting it down next, and then negative 8. Okay, and our two numbers left are 16 and 21. The next number we get to as we move from left to right on the number line would be 16, and we would end with 21 being the largest. Okay, so that left us with, in order, double check, negative 27, negative 24, negative 11, negative 8, 16, and 21 is in order from least to greatest. All right, two more here. We have a set 12, negative 4, 9, negative 10, negative 18, and 15. The smallest number here is the biggest negative number, negative 18. The next biggest negative number is negative 10. Our next biggest negative number is negative 4. Okay, now we have positive numbers left. We have 9, 12, and 15. So when we're counting, we know that we get to 9 before we get to 12 and then 15. So our order from least to greatest is negative 18, negative 10, negative 4, 9, 12, and 15. And we used them all. All right, our last example here, we have lots of negatives. Negative 52, negative 65, 37, negative 33, 48, negative 31. Again, the smallest number is the largest negative number, which would be negative 65. Out of all those, it's the biggest negative number. He's the smallest, actually. And then our next biggest negative number is negative 52. So he was smaller than everything else. Our next biggest negative number is negative 33. We'll follow that up by negative 31. Okay, we've used all of our negatives, so who's the smallest number between 37 and 48? That would be 37, followed with 48. And there we go, ordering them from least to greatest.